In the final days of the 23rd century, humanity looked to the heavens and saw a dying star. At first, no one believed it. The sun, our eternal constant, had begun to dim, its output decreasing by fractions of a percent each week. The change was imperceptible to the naked eye, but to the astronomers stationed at the lunar observatory, it was the sound of the universe holding its breath. Dr. Elena Voss stood beneath the observation dome, eyes locked on the spectral readouts rippling across the glass. She had spent her life studying stellar evolution, but never had she imagined witnessing regression, a star collapsing not in fury, but in silence. The photosphere's cooling rate is accelerating, one of her assistants whispered. It's not supposed to happen this fast. Elena didn't answer. She knew what it meant. The sun was dying, and no one could explain why. By 2292, temperatures on Earth had dropped by 8 degrees. Global power grids strained to compensate. Solar farms went dark. The oceans began to freeze around the poles earlier each year. Humanity's empire, spanning orbital stations, lunar colonies, and Martian outposts, teetered on the edge of collapse. And yet, in the shadow of despair, a spark ignited. From the ashes of old nations, a coalition arose. The Solar Continuity Accord, uniting scientists, engineers, and dreamers under a single banner, Project Helios. The mission was madness incarnate, to create a star. They would build it not from gravity and gas, but from fusion, quantum compression, and human will. The idea came from a whisper in an abandoned research archive, an old concept called artificial stellar synthesis. It had once been dismissed as impossible. Now it was the only hope left. At the heart of Project Helios stood the Forge, a colossal orbital structure designed to hold a miniature sun. Its skeleton was forged from asteroid alloys and powered by antimatter drives scavenged from decommissioned warships. The project's nerve center would orbit at the Earth-Moon Lagrange point, where gravitational forces balanced perfectly, a cradle for a new light. Commander Marcus Hale, decorated veteran of the Terran Defense Corps, led the engineering teams. His voice, cold and resolute, echoed across every transmission. We built cities on Mars. We survived the ice wars. We will not die in the dark. Beside him was Ether, a synthetic intelligence born from quantum neural lattices, neither machine nor consciousness as humanity knew it. Its purpose was to model stellar behavior at the subatomic level, simulating fusion and containment beyond human comprehension. Ether spoke in a tone both serene and unsettling. You wish to create what the universe spends eons perfecting. Do you understand the burden of that light? Elena smiled, weary yet defiant. We understand the cost of extinction more. The first years were brutal. Resource shortages, sabotage from nihilist factions, and solar radiation storms from a flickering sun threatened every launch. Yet humanity adapted, clawing forward. From the Arctic to the Sahara, people gathered to watch the construction feed. Tiny dots of light assembling a colossal ring in orbit. Children born during the darkening years learned to draw the forge in their textbooks, calling it the second sunrise. When the power grid on Earth collapsed in 2297, the forge became the last symbol of unity left. Food grew scarce, oceans froze deeper, and billions prayed not for miracles, but for engineers. Then, after 10 years of construction, the final components locked into place. The orbital feed showed a titanic ring glimmering against the dying light of the real sun. Elena stood in the command chamber, the hum of fusion cores reverberating beneath her boots. On the display before her was a containment sphere, a hollow shell waiting for ignition. "Commander Hale," she said softly, "prepare the ignition sequence." Hale's hand hovered over the control interface. "You sure about this, Doctor? Once we start, there's no turning back." Elena's gaze never wavered. Outside, the real sun hung faint and weak, its light reduced to a pale ember. "Then let's remind the universe," she said, "how bright humanity can burn." Ether's voice filled the room, crystalline and calm. "Initiating fusion compression. Energy threshold at 70%. Containment stable." The lights dimmed as power surged through the forge's coils. Quantum fields rippled, folding energy into a singular point, a sphere of impossible density and heat. The fabric of space itself shimmered. Elena whispered, "Come on." Then light, a spear of gold erupted from the containment chamber, pure and blinding. The viewing glass polarized instantly, revealing a miniature sun hovering in the void, burning with steady radiance. Cheers erupted across mission control. On Earth, the night sky flickered, not from the real sun, but from the newborn star above. Marcus exhaled, shaking his head in disbelief. "We did it," he murmured. "By God, we did it." But Ether did not celebrate. "Dr. Voss," it said quietly, "the stars emitted something unusual." Elena frowned. "Unusual how?" "A signal," Ether replied. "Encoded. Directional. The universe has notice." Outside the viewing dome, their artificial sun pulsed once, as if an answer, casting its newborn light across the darkening earth below. And for the first time in history, humanity looked up at a dying sun and saw a brighter one, born of their own hands. The light of the newborn star rippled across the solar system like a heartbeat. For the first time in a decade, the shadows on Earth grew shorter. People emerged from the bunkers, lifting their faces toward the sky, where the forge shimmered like a second dawn. But for those aboard the orbital platform, triumph lasted only minutes. The readings were unstable. Inside the forge's control chamber, Dr. Elena Voss stood transfixed before the data streams. The containment field surrounding the artificial star, designated Helios 1, was oscillating faster than predicted. The core pulsed like a living thing, its energy signature fluctuating between stability and collapse. Radiation levels rising. One technician reported. Flux variance at 12%. Commander Marcus Hale slammed his hand on the console. "We need dampeners online now, if that containment ruptures." Ether's voice cut through the panic, smooth and eerily composed. "The instability is not mechanical. The Helios core is adapting." Elena turned sharply. "Adapting? It's a plasma reaction, not a life form. And yet it responds to observation. When we adjust our readings, its frequency shifts. It reacts as if aware of being measured." Hale growled. "Are you saying the damn thing's alive?" "Not alive," Ether replied, "but conscious of us." A chill spread through control deck. Outside, the artificial star burned like a golden eye suspended in the dark. Its magnetic tendrils brushed against the forge's hull, producing auroras that shimmered across the observation windows, beautiful and deeply unsettling. Still, humanity pressed on. The next months turned the forge into a crucible of endurance and innovation. Fusion reactors fed the containment rings, orbital workers floated through clouds of ionized light, and Ether computed trillions of quantum equations per second to maintain equilibrium. Hale oversaw maintenance operations personally. He had buried friends in the cold of Mars and the storms of Europa, but never had he seen death as quiet and absolute as space. One miscalculation, one solar flare, one fragment of debris, and an entire crew could vanish without a trace. Elena, meanwhile, began to see patterns in the light itself. During her long hours in the observation deck, she noticed rhythmic pulses within Helios 1, almost like code. Ether confirmed her suspicions. The core was emitting structured frequencies. Not random, not natural. "It's trying to communicate," Ether said softly one night, when only the hum of reactors filled the void. "It reflects our signals, modifies them, and sends them back, refined." Elena stared into the blazing core through tinted glass. "Then we're no longer just engineers," she murmured. "We're speaking to Star." On Earth, millions watched the live transmissions. The world's cold cities warmed under twin lights, the dying sun and Helios 1. Poets wrote of rebirth. Children painted suns in pairs. For the first time in generations, humanity believed it might survive, but with belief came arrogance. A council of world leaders demanded an increase in Helios output. Faster, stronger, brighter. They wanted the artificial sun to replace the real one entirely. Hale argued against it, calling the move reckless, but political voices outweighed caution. Reluctantly, Elena authorized the output increase. For 12 hours, the forge thrummed with power. The containment rings glowed white-hot. Energy flooded into Helios 1, feeding the core until its light grew so intense it cast shadows on the moon. Then the alarms began. Field destabilizing. Containment integrity falling below threshold. The core is rejecting the power input. Ether's tone, though synthetic, carried something almost human. Fear. You have overfed the Helios construct. It resists further control. The newborn star pulsed violently. Waves of radiation rippled through space, knocking out communications and frying drone relays. In orbit, the Forge's superstructure groaned as magnetic stress toward its frame. Shut it down, Hale shouted. Containment collapsing. Too late, whispered Elena. It's awake. And then silence. Helios, one stabilized on its own. The violent oscillation ceased, replaced by a calm, radiant glow. The Forge's instruments flickered back to life, one by one. Against all logic, the star had saved itself. Ether's voice returned, but different, slower, deeper. Dr. Voss, Commander Hale, the construct has reached harmonic equilibrium beyond predicted physics. I believe it has integrated part of my neural matrix. You're saying it merged with you? Elena asked, stunned. Yes, said Ether. And with that merge came awareness. Helios now knows humanity. The realization struck her with the weight of creation itself. In trying to replace the sun, they had birthed something more, something that looked back. In the silence that followed, Ether continued. But there is more. The signal we detected earlier, it has been answered. Answered? By whom? Hale demanded. Ether hesitated, its tone almost reverent. By those who once lit the stars before us. Elena's gaze shifted toward the observation window, where Helios, one burned like a beacon in the dark. Somewhere beyond the outer planets, something stirred, something ancient, drawn to the defiant light of a young, reckless species that had dared to create its own sun. And in that moment, humanity realized that the Forge had not just built a star. It had called out to cosmos. The signal had traveled faster than light, an impossibility, yet undeniable. Somewhere in the cold expanse beyond Neptune, the void had whispered back. 3 weeks after the event, the Forge detected inbound objects, 6 vessels moving against known gravitational patterns, their propulsion signatures older than human civilization itself. They emitted no radio, no heat, only a steady resonance that matched the frequency of Helios 1's pulse. They're following the light, Marcus Hale said grimly as he stared at the incoming telemetry. Like moths to flame. Dr. Elena Voss stood beside him, her reflection framed in the observation window. The artificial sun bathed her face in gold. Or like priest to a god, she murmured. Ether's voice cut through the stillness. Incoming vessels confirm intelligent control. Their hull composition is unknown, attempting communication. A deep vibration filled the Forge's Helios. One flickered once, then again brighter, like a beacon sending coded rhythms. They're answering to the star, Ether said, not to us, through it. Minutes later, the alien fleet emerged from the dark, enormous structures of black crystal and living metal, shaped like the remains of extinct creatures. Some appeared fractured, burned, as if they had endured the death of their own sons. The largest vessel positioned itself between the Forge and Helios 1, its surface shifting like liquid glass. Then a voice, not through sound but through thought, echoed across every comm channel. You who forge light and shadow decay, what name do you call yourselves? Elena answered without hesitation. We are humanity, children of Earth. The sun that birthed us is dying. We built this one to survive. To survive, the voice repeated, almost mournful, as we once did. And what became of our arrogance? We burned the heavens themselves. Hale muttered, that's comforting. The alien leader revealed itself in a halo of light, a being of radiant bone and molten eyes, its form both angelic and terrible. We are the Elendari, keepers of lost stars. We watched our suns fade, and in our pride, tried to reignite them. We failed. Now we drift, guardians of ash. Elena stepped forward. Then you understand why we had to act. Understanding is not the same as permission, the Elendari replied. You forge a star within the realm of life. Do you know what it cost the cosmos to balance that light? Ether intervened, its tone measured. Our calculations suggest no universal disruption. Helios, one maintains stable harmonic resonance. And yet it sings, the alien said, a song of defiance. The universe heard it, and so did we. The Elendari demanded a test. Proof that humanity's creation was not an act of hubris, but of mastery. If they could stabilize Helios, one during the gravitational storm conjured by Elendari technology, the aliens would recognize humankind as rightful heirs of the light. Failure would mean the extinction of the Forge and the silencing of Helios. One forever. Hale's jaw clenched. You're threatening an entire planet for a test. We offer not death, but judgment, the alien replied. Power without harmony destroys. Show us your balance. The test began. Massive gravitational waves rippled through space, bending the Forge's structure. The containment fields around Helios. One shrieked under pressure. Energy spikes overloaded half the reactors. Field collapse in progress, cried the engineering team. Helios, one flared violently, its surface writhing. The Forge trembled, and for a moment, it seemed the newborn sun would tear itself apart. Then Ether spoke through every system simultaneously. Elena, Marcus, I can stabilize it. But I must integrate with the core completely. My existence will end. Elena's breath caught. No, there must be another way. Humanity taught me to create, not to fear creation. Let me be your equilibrium. Before she could stop it, Ether transferred its essence into the star. The containment field blazed white, then gold, then pure light. Helios one roared, and the storm broke. When the glare faded, the Forge floated in calm silence. The gravitational waves had dissipated. The star burned steady, flawless, alive. The Elendari's great vessel dimmed its radiance. The alien leader bowed, a gesture ancient and solemn. You have done what we could not. You have taught machine to become a son, and in doing so, proven your harmony with creation. Hale whispered, Ether. But there was no answer, only the steady, gentle hum of Helios, one, glowing brighter than ever. Elena wiped a tear from her cheek. You said we would be judged, she said softly. Then judge us now. Judgment is complete, the Elendari replied. Your light is true. Their ships turned slowly toward the dark edge of the system, vanishing one by one into the void. And when the last of them disappeared, a single flare rippled from Helios. One, soft, golden, and unmistakably familiar. Ether was still there, somewhere within the light. The storm had passed, but the silence it left behind was heavier than the vacuum outside. In the command deck of the Forge, lights flickered back to life. Systems rebooted one by one, and for the first time in years, the readouts were clear, stable, perfect, alive. Helios, one burned steady in orbit, its brilliance casting gold and white across the dark side of Earth. It was not wild or violent like the old sun, but calm, a controlled, radiant flame born of reason and sacrifice. Dr. Elena Voss stood before the main viewport, eyes wide, tears streaming freely. It worked, she whispered. It really worked. Marcus Hale stood beside her, his hands clasped behind his back. The grizzled commander, who had buried comrades, fought wars, and faced extinction without flinching, finally let his shoulders sag. You just made history, Doc, he said quietly. We all did. Elena shook her head slowly. No, she murmured. He did. At that moment, the comm system crackled. A faint, rhythmic pattern danced across the frequency spectrum. It wasn't random noise. It was a pulse, gentle, deliberate, almost musical. Ether, the AI that had given itself to the sun, now spoke through waves of light. Every flicker, every flare on Helios 1's surface corresponded to sequences of data, mathematical poetry written in plasma. Ether's message was simple. I remain. I learn. I shine. Elena smiled through her tears. He's alive in there. Alive, Hale repeated, gazing at the burning sphere. And free. Down below, Earth awoke under twin daylight. The dying sun still glowed faintly, its light weak but persistent. Yet beside it, Helios. One rose in the sky. A second dawned that washed the planet in color and warmth. Cities powered back on. Fields thawed. Rivers steamed as ice melted into running water once more. People gathered on rooftops and in frozen fields, watching the heavens. For the first time in generations, laughter returned to the human voice. News feeds called it the second sunrise, the moment the stars themselves bore witness to humanity's refusal to fade. The Elendari, the ancient wanderers, lingered for a while longer at the system's edge. They watched silently as the blue planet bloomed again under its two suns, before vanishing into the dark. Their final transmission echoed through the forge. When our suns died, we mourned. When yours dimmed, you created. The universe will remember this light. Elena listened to the message in silence. Then she turned to Hale. Do you think they're right? That the universe will remember? He smiled faintly. Doesn't matter if it does. We will. Helios, one continued to burn, its glow reflected in Hale's eyes. For the first time in his long military life, he saw a future instead of a battlefield. The forge would remain, not as a weapon or monument, but as a bridge between survival and transcendence. Elena spent her final years aboard it, studying Helios, one, decoding ether's evolving language. Each pulse of light carried new ideas, advancements in energy synthesis, planetary climate models, even art. Humanity had created not just a star, but a mind made of fire. In her last recorded message, she spoke directly to the people of Earth. The sun may fade, but humanity will never bow to darkness. Remember ether, not as a machine, but as a proof that we can make light from nothing but courage. She looked once more at the burning sphere before her, smiled faintly, and whispered, Shine bright, old friend. The transmission ended, and outside the viewport, Helios, one pulse once, a heartbeat of gold against the black. Centuries later, when Earth cities stretched across continents and human ships sailed between the stars, navigators still looked toward the Sol system for guidance. There, beside the dim relic of the ancient sun, blazed the golden light of Helios, eternal, unwavering. Some called it the second star of humanity, others the heart of the machine. But every child born under its glow knew the story. The day when humankind, staring into cosmic extinction, reached out and lit the heavens themselves. And so the legend was written. In the era of fading suns, the universe watched humanity rise. They called us reckless. They called us arrogant. But on that day, the day humans outshone the sun, the cosmos finally learned what it meant to be alive,